How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid, which ended up posting a strong green day. We saw a lot of momentum coming into the markets for today. So of course I want to make sure you guys are prepared going into next week. So with that said, I want to put out the reminder, if you're new to this channel, we do have timestamps down below inside the description. So we're going to be taking a look at the charts, and we're also going to be taking a look at the short interest information. I know a lot of you have been getting value from my videos, so I'm going to continue to do that. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts afterwards. So let's get into those videos. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $15.22, being up 5.62%. On the low, it tested $14.36, and then on the high, testing $15.32. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 15.026 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 19.88 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, and we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, what we could see here, we'd continue to have our higher lows and as well as higher highs on Lucid. We ended up seeing a high at $5.32. And you remember where I talked about where we could see some resistance and where we want to see some strength? Right here at $15.33. Again, this is not a coincidence. It pays to do your homework. So going into tomorrow, for this momentum to continue, not only do I want to see us break above the high of the day, I want to see us get to the 21 EMA at $15.48. And if we can use that as support, then we want to see if Lucid can make that move to retest $16. We know there's a lot of sellers who are hanging out here, so that's one thing you're going to want to keep in mind. Another thing is, it looks like we do have a nice pattern that is about to set up. Let me bring out my drawing tool right here. So are we going to have this W-shaped pattern? I know I'm going to put it out together. Look at that. Boom. So can we get that move going to $16 is going to be very key. Fill that pattern out, and then as far as what it's going to do from there, that'll be dependent on the market conditions in my personal opinion. But if we get that break above $16, then we have the 50 EMA at $16.57. So with that said, Lucid is definitely looking good and looking prime for a move up if we see continuation of momentum inside of these markets. If we decide to have a pullback now, then where do I want to see support? We saw a low at $14.36. So most preferably, I want to see a continuation of the higher low pattern. So I'd want to see support being at least at around $14.50 and watching it hold, and then seeing what it would do for the next trading day after. Now let's move on. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when I take a look at the recent filings here for the 28th, we have TIAA CREF Equity Index Fund Institutional Class that purchased 428,068 shares. And we also have AIM Investment Funds that purchased 426 shares. We also have TIAA CREF Large Cap Value Index Fund Institutional Class that purchased 14,196 shares. And then we also see TLIX Large Cap Growth Index Fund that purchased 253,139 shares. So that is good to see. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 53.42%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 4.50 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 150,000, updated 29 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 7.25%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, you can see for the close of the 26th, it was at 57.42, and then for the close of the 27th, being at 53.42. So that is a significant decrease right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 21.38%, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. So for my final thoughts for Lucid when it comes to the price action, if you guys have been paying attention to the chart portion of my videos, you know how important the level was at $15.33. Where did we see a high today? At $15.53. and 32 cents. So what does all of this mean? If we can get price action above the high of the day and of course 1533, what do we want to see? I talked about this in the previous video. We want to see Lucid making a move to 1550. If it can have momentum above 1550, then there's a strong likelihood we can get that test going to $16 before we start seeing a lot of turbulence. So please add that to your notes. As far as for the low of the day, it was around $14.36. So what do I want to see from Lucid? I want to see a continuation of the higher low and higher high pattern. If we don't get the higher high, then I'm looking for the higher low. I want to see Lucid looking good going into the month of October. And also, when we took a look at the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. We also know recently that it was given a price target of $23. And considering where it's trading at right now, it does show up some upside. But another point that I want to bring to your attention, we still have a volatile week. We've been having a lot of Fed speakers coming out as well as for Jerome Powell, and I can see a continuation of this, especially since we have key economic data that is coming out as well. So what this all means is there's going to be turbulence. Stocks are not just going to go straight up. The end of September will be this Friday coming, but we also have to take into consideration we have earnings season that's going to be coming out in late October coming from big tech companies. So that means for the beginning of October, we could have some pullbacks, we could have a lot of volatility. But as we get into the middle of October, I'm looking forward to seeing some strength right around earnings season, and we also have midterm elections right around the corner. So you want to make sure you have a game plan for yourself if you are inside of this play and know what your intentions are. Are you a trader or are you an investor? And whatever the case may be, make sure you do your homework, do your due diligence, and be aware of the price levels, because that is very crucial, especially with the market conditions that we are in. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll be talking to you guys real soon.